Welcome to Rolling with the Davises. I'm starting my morning on the Susquehanna River just below the Conowingo Dam. I was hoping to see lots of eagles this morning, but they are just not very active today. We've got a lot of gates open at the dam, as you can see here, and it's kind of windy. River's running fast and high. I don't know if that has anything to do with the eagles not being out and around, but they're just not here today. Did spot some herons. I am on the lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway Trail this morning. I've parked at Conowingo Dam off of Shuresville Road. Right along the Susquehanna River. A little chilly this morning, so not many people on the trail. The trail that I'm walking on was originally the Susquehanna and Tidewater Canal, built between 1836 and 1840. 43 miles long, ran from Wrightsville, Pennsylvania, which up near Columbia, to Havre de Grace, Maryland. As the railroads became more prominent, the canal saw less use and is considered to started to have declined in 1855 and was closed in 1894. There was rail laid here after that. You can still see the remnants here along the side. This area to my left here would have been completely void of any vegetation, trees, when the canal was in operation. They used mules to pull the boats along the canal. There are some locks still standing in Pennsylvania for when they had to go up or downhill. They would fill the locks with water, float the boats, then release the gates. The keeper's house is still standing down in Havre de Grace. I believe they do tours. It's open to the public at certain times. One of the main features on the south end of the trail down by Havre de Grace is the Rock Run Grist Mill. It's been an attraction in Harford County for a long time. I remember going there as a kid. I believe they still do grind at the mill. The trail does pass through Susquehanna State Park. Don't think I'm going to walk that far today. It is about 3.5 miles each direction. All Trails calls it 7.2 miles, but that's out and back. The large outcroppings of rocks that we see on the ridge along the trail started out as ancient sediment and volcanic ash, which was transformed by the Earth's heat into the granite-like crystalline gneiss that we see today. Glacial meltwaters eroded the gorge and widened the Susquehanna River. This stone was used in construction of the Susquehanna and Tidewater Canal. The railroad was laid to aid in the construction of the Conowingo Dam in the 1920s. I'm thinking the fact that it was solely used to help build the dam is the reason I couldn't find a name for the railroad in my research today. So this path is on what's known as the western bank of the Susquehanna. There is an active railroad on the eastern bank. Hard to say how much the banks have eroded away since the 20s when these tracks were laid. Really surprising that this wasn't pulled up and scrapped.
especially when there was such a steel shortage during World War II. As you can see, this is a very flat trail. Anytime the trail was a canal towpath, it was built very flat. Not unusual for the railroads to be flat also. They wanted very little grade on those. And this path does follow the original path of the towpath in the railroad, at least at this point. I think down close to Havre de Grace, it may veer off a little. There is a steep section I've heard people talk about down that way. It's been a while since I've been down that way. According to the Maryland State Parks website, the footbridge to the lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway Trail is currently closed due to storm damage. It says you have to access the trail at either the Conowingo Dam, like I did today, or Deer Creek Trestle Bridge in Susquehanna State Park. My husband and I did walk some of the trail up in Pennsylvania. March 2 years ago, I believe, March 2020. Got some pictures of the locks up that way that are still standing. Locks number 12 and 15 are being preserved. There is a dam up in that area also. I want to say it's the Holtwood Dam. They've actually got a place on the, I guess, the east side of the river where you can take a kayak and drop it in beside the dam or below the dam and train for rapids type. It's a lot of water comes through there. I forget exactly what they call it. But there were some people there with kayaks the day we were there. That was pretty interesting. I want to say we're about 8/10 of a mile from Conowingo Dam. A little stream running here to our right. There's kind of a picnic area here. Picnic table's looking a little rough. We have a bench. And we've got a boardwalk. A stream and a marshy area. We were here, my husband and I, might even been the same day that we did the Holtwood Dam. And this marshy area, swampy area here, was just covered in tadpole eggs. At least we think they were tadpoles. They weren't exactly what we were used to from the farm ponds, but they were just masses of eggs. Had to be some kind of a frog. A little early for it today. A little early in the year. This is the last weekend of February. They've made some improvements on the bridge since we were here, or on the wooden path, which it wasn't in repair. Actually, I guess I was a little farther along than I thought I was. There's the 1.25 mile marker. All these trails that I've been covering the last few weeks here in Harford County are open to the public 365 days a year. No expensive gym membership needed. No expensive equipment needed. Good pair of walking shoes. Dress appropriately for the weather. You can use snowshoes or cross-country skis if there's snow on the ground. They are pretty well maintained. Might be a little rough right now because of being winter. This is the second time I've seen evidence where there's been a tree down across the trail recently. As you can see, they've been in with chainsaws and cleaned it up for us. Probably from that windstorm last weekend. So about 1.9 miles in. Ugh, shadows are terrible on here. I have reached this bridge, and that is the trail to Susquehanna State Park and the campground. So that is a viable access point to the trail if you want to come on closer to Havre de Grace. I saw the park's open from 9 a.m. till dusk, but if you want to access the trail, it's open anytime. That was on the Maryland State Park website. And then the trail has gotten away from the river some here. Looks like it's maybe the rail bed was moved up the hill from what was originally the towpath. So we make a left here to continue along the river. See how high the river is here? Actually up into the trees. So from Susquehanna State Park north to Conowingo Dam is a very flat trail, or from Conowingo Dam to Susquehanna State Park. Once you make that left to go back toward the river off of the rail bed, it does get narrow and it gets a little more rugged. Nothing that somebody walking that doesn't have any mobility issues would have any problems with, but you can see here we've got some tree roots, a little bit of a step down here back down toward the river. The northern part of the trail actually very nice for strollers or even a wheelchair. Not so much the southern part. I have reached 2.5 miles here on the trail. Wasn't sure how far I was going to go when I started out today. I'm almost an hour in. Time for me to turn around and get back. So as the sky begins to clear, it makes the river look a little different with the sun shining on it a little bit. There are some ducks floating down. Just saw one fly off. Look at this little poser. I did 5 miles. Hour and 48 minutes. In case you were wondering about the name of our channel, my father at one time said that as long as there's vehicles with wheels or tracks, my husband was never going to have any other kind of job. He would always be on the road doing something. So thus, rolling with the Davises. And on that note, let's keep rolling.